Are Deep Winter and Imperial charity writs worth doing? You're not going to like me for this answer, but it depends. So let's dive right into it. There are various reasons why you might want to do these writs, but before we go any further, I really want to talk about the cost of doing these writs. I know it's the most boring thing ever, but it's also the most important part. And I don't feel like we can talk about the rest until we get this out of the way first. Don't worry, I'll make it brief. There are 2 different types of writs you can get as rewards during this event. You get the Deep Winter charity writs from the New Life Festival boxes you get for doing quests for Brita, and Imperial charity writs from the New Life rewards coffers you get for doing the Old Life Observance quests for Petronius Galenus. Each writ has 7 different varieties. Regardless of what we craft, each one gives us gold, inspiration, experience, and a style page. You get Skull Explorer for the Deep Winter charity writs, and Rekindlef Dwarven style pages for the Imperial charity writs. You're guaranteed to get 1 style page for each turn-in, though I warn you, these style pages aren't worth that much. Maybe a few hundred gold each from guild traders. Of course, you can always just ask around in your player guilds to see if anyone has extras. I'm sure there are a lot of people looking to get rid of a few. What I'd really like to talk about today, though, is the cost of doing each writ. Because before we can talk about if a writ is worth doing, we have to determine what it's going to require from us and what it's going to give us in return. And before you say, but Span, materials are free, I can just pick them up as I play, don't forget that we also have an opportunity cost. Each of those materials could be sold instead, so they aren't just free, they have value. So how much are these going to cost you? Let's look. As you can see, there's a huge difference in material costs between these options, so we have to choose wisely. These prices are all from PCNA, but what's cheapest on PCNA should also be cheapest on other platforms and servers, just due to the nature of supply and demand. But why such a vast difference? Well, for starters, most of these writs require you to craft 12 of each item, despite saying you have to craft a rough crate, bolted for instance. We have 4 exceptions with the Imperial charity writs, but the rest require 12. Combine that with so many of them requiring heartwood, and they get expensive fast. So now that we know all that, we can talk about which ones are worth it. But worth it how? If you're going after the achievement, you'll need to complete 12 of these writs to get the Crystalfrost Skin. Is that worth it? You decide. If you want the writ vouchers, we need to talk about the value of a writ voucher and compare that to your cost. I have a video on how to determine how much a voucher is worth on your server, which I'll link below, but as of the time of this recording, PCNA vouchers are worth approximately 600 to 700 gold each. If we're just after writ vouchers, we can now easily look at our total costs to determine which ones fall below a 600 gold craft cost, which is only 4 of them, all of them Imperial charity writs. But the 3 provisioning Imperial charity writs rise to the top as being the cheapest to craft, and therefore are the most worthwhile. These provisioning writs are even more economical if you have the chef passive in the provisioning skill line, making it a quarter of the cost you see here. The next question is, are charity writs good for inspiration? Inspiration is crafting experience and how you level crafting in ESO. If you're already at level 50 in that particular crafting skill line, this won't help you at all. But if you're still trying to level crafting on a new account or on alternate characters, let's take a look. We get 5.5k inspiration from turning in this provisioning Imperial charity writ, and only 1.1k from doing a daily provisioning crafting writ. Not bad. Of course, we're not quite comparing apples and oranges, right? We get extra stuff when we turn in the daily provisioning crafting writ, and we also have to make more for the charity writ. But if we're just looking at inspiration, the charity writ stands out. And finally, the question everyone has been waiting for, are these worth doing for the experience they give? You may have heard that doing master writs is great for experience, but what about charity writs? First, let me say that experience in ESO has all kinds of potential modifiers. ESO Plus, Enlightenment, double XP from events like New Life Festival, any scrolls or ambrosia you might use, and more. These figures were with ESO Plus and the New Life Festival double XP bonus. No Enlightenment, no other buffs. When we do any of the charity writs, either the Deep Winter or Imperial charity writs with the ESO Plus and the event XP, we get 11.8k XP. Let's compare that to our typical daily crafting writ, which gives us 1.6k XP. However, just turning in the new life quests gives us about 11.8k XP too, the same amount as our charity writs. On the flip side, master writs are going to give us around 35.4k XP, which is more than 3 times as much XP. So what's our conclusion? In my opinion, do 12 of the least expensive charity writs to get your achievement. Buy any missing style pages from guild traders. They're pretty cheap. Do some of the provisioning Imperial charity writs if you really need vouchers. But otherwise, just stick to the master writs. Send any extra charity writs you have to new players that may need them, but please do them a favor and don't stick them with the really expensive ones. Destroy those and only share the cheaper to execute Imperial charity writs. I hope that answered your questions. If you have more, leave them in the comments below, and we'll see you next time.